Hi, I'm Dave Mattson, CEO of Sandler Training. I'm here today with Kaysi Curtin, who is a newer franchisee out of Fresno, California. So Kaysi, you were successful in business prior to Sandler. So I guess I have two questions. Why did you leave corporate America and why Sandler?
Good question. I get that a lot. And it really was not a hard decision for me. So before my last career, I was there for 10 years. I was really at my ceiling, and my options were to stay there and do exactly what I was doing, or go to another company and run theirs as well. It was never going to be mine, right? However, I was exposed to Sandler training at my last job.
Okay.
And what it did for my career personally, and then what it did for the company that I was working for, I saw that firsthand. And just light bulb went off and took the leap.
And you wanted to make that impact with others?
Absolutely. And, being able to do that so early on was huge for me. And I talk about that a lot. I say I was at a company where I was only able to help that company. Now I get to go out and do the same thing with all these other companies and individuals, help their individual careers, but also help those companies. So
Would always
very
say,
rewarding.
yeah, for me as well, I would always say that's probably the most rewarding, that you can't even, it's intangible. You can't put anything on it. But when people say to you for the very first time, I've saved money for retirement, or you've saved my business, or, oh my goodness gracious, I'm so much better. What that does for them and how it makes you feel is just indescribable, to be honest with you. So kudos.
Absolutely.
Hey, I've got a question for you. I need your advice on two things. So what advice would you give people who are researching Sandler? They're early in the process now.
Don't look anywhere else.
Thank
And
you.
it's funny because I get a lot of questions about people that are researching Sandler. And I always ask, well, what else are you looking at?
Yeah.
And hands down, if they haven't been exposed to Sandler, I just tell them how magical it is. I mean, without sounding corny, right? But it is, and it works. And I just feel like I'm on a mission to let everybody else know
Yeah.
how good it is. So
There's always three things that I hear clients saying. And of course, I've been doing this now for 35 years. First thing is, I wish I met you 20 years ago. My career would be completely different, right? They would be saying the same thing that you're saying. The second thing is, I wish my children would go through this so they don't have to learn through the road of hard knocks like I did. And the third thing they always say is that I use the Sandler concepts in my personal life as much as I use them in my professional life, which is so true. Once you're in it, you realize that is very true.
yes, I've saved a lot of arguments by using the Sandler methodology. And now my husband even says, "Stop Sandlering me. I know
Yeah,
you're doing that right now."
exactly.
It
And
works.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's based on psychology. So then, which is really why I was attracted to it early on, because I didn't have to be somebody that I wasn't. I just had to apply psychology concepts into the sales scenario. So second part of the advice is, what advice would you give people who are just starting in the Sandler franchise?
I think some people think, oh, I haven't been exposed to it. I don't know it. How am I going to learn all this stuff? I wouldn't worry about that at
Mm,
all. I think some people do, and they get so caught up in having to learn everything like the back of their hand prior to even building their business. And I would absolutely tell them to build your business, build that. All that stuff's going to come. I mean, you're going to start prepping for training class. You're going to do all of that, and it's all going to come. You're going to know everything, but focus on getting people in your training center, and start making an impact. Because regardless of how well you know it at the beginning, if you don't have anyone to teach it to, it's what's the point?
exactly. Just out of curiosity, how helpful have the coaches been during this initial phase of your life with us?
Oh gosh. It's funny because I didn't think, I'm a very high D. I don't reach out to people, they'll reach out to me. And I remember thinking people were saying, oh my God, I talk to my coach all the time. And I was going, that's not going to be me. I literally will go through withdrawals if I don't talk to Eddie, at least every other day. And then even this Tuesday, he calls me and he goes, God, I'm sorry. I feel like we haven't talked. And he goes, oh, wait, it's only Tuesday.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know, I'm sorry. I was calling you and sending you emails on the weekend, but they are a huge part in helping me in what I do. And also the network is absolutely amazing. I feel like we all just have the saying of, you know, let me know how I can help. And that's exactly what everybody does.
Well, I would think coming out of corporate America, and I can't speak for every company, but I think everyone's kind of just worried about their team or their division or themselves. But one of the things that always strikes me is how the franchise network bonds together and helps each other. And really, I'll help you on sales calls, I'll help you on training. It's just amazing to me. Were you shocked when you first experienced that?
I didn't realize how powerful that actually was. I thought, okay, I'm going to have to be reaching out to a lot of people, which of course was not my nature.
Yeah.
But more people reach out to me and vice versa. It just becomes a really easy thing to do. And if I don't have the answer, there's going to be someone else that does.
Yeah.
That's the amazing part. I'm not in it on my own. You know,
Well,
I thought coming in, it's just going to be me. It's not.
yeah, and I would say that's always the thing as an entrepreneur. We always want to be entrepreneurs, right? For those who want to be, we want to do our own thing. We're looking for a support mechanism behind us that will give us a higher probability of success. But I think it's a lonely business being the owner. And when you have the ability to reach out to others and just, this is what I'm experiencing, this is what's going on, and they're giving you feedback because they've either experienced it, right? They've done it, they're a little ahead of you. I just think that's just a magical combination, which is kind of what you described. Hey, I've got a question for you. You started, you know, a little earlier than the pandemic hit the US.
Mm-hmm.
We certainly know what the pandemic's done for as far as the ripple effect into the business community and the economy. So starting slightly before that, you still have been successful. So can you share a little bit about how you've done it and a little bit about what's going on? Because I know you're doing some briefings, you've got X amount of people in the thing. So without talking about the money, let's talk a little bit about what you're doing, because it's awesome.
Sure. You know, when you go into initial training, plus Sandler, right? We talk about behaviors.
Yeah.
You just got to do the work. You just have to do the behaviors and not shying away from that. So knowing that you're building a business, I mean, if it were easy, everybody would be doing it, right? Yeah. And I think getting something off the ground, it's a little scary at first, but you know, yeah, I was 2 months in right when this whole pandemic happened and we all started shutting down. Right. And I told myself, look, I'm trying to build a business right now. I'm out helping people. And my mindset never changed. I went from doing everything face to face, and within a snap, I went virtual. And that's all I did. And I still continued to do everything I was doing prior to that. And nothing has changed. You know, when we face economic, you know, climates like this, there are people that are able to excel in it. Some businesses are, some businesses have been affected in a negative way. But there are always going to be people out there that need what we do. And I think now even more than ever. So there's never a good or bad time. I mean, for anything. And
I agree. How many, just out of curiosity now, one of the things we teach you in initial training is to get executive briefings, where we teach you a talk that is designed to generate interest, and then that'll enable you to start your sales calls. So you've had to go completely virtual. You're making outbound calls. How many executive briefings are you doing in a month, and how many people are you getting net new faces that you haven't met?
I'm averaging, well, so since I got out of initial training, I've probably done over 20. And most of those are virtual now. I only did about 6 or 7 maybe face-to-face. All the rest of them have been virtual. I just did 2 back-to-back last week, and this week I just did 1 yesterday. And constantly getting new people. I've even had some people that come in a couple times and I go, look, you're going to hear the same thing. And they're like, well, you teach in ongoing reinforcement training, right? Yeah. I said, okay. But I'll average anywhere from, you know, 30 to 20 people in each one. And that's how I built, you know, my business, set appointments from there. And it's just like clockwork.
Well, yeah, first of all, kudos to you. You started, most people would freeze. You said, hey, look, I don't have the luxury of freezing. You still went out and through social media or outbound calls, you filled the room. 20 to 30 net new faces in a room on a given month is fantastic. I know your conversion rate, which I know is awesome, even for a veteran, right? But you've put the time and energy to learn those scripts and to know your stuff. So you have that confidence and conviction. So kudos to you. I know you're going to continue to be successful for many years to come. So if anyone would like to build your own vision or build your own future versus being part of somebody else's, why don't you give us a call at 410-559-2033 or email us at franchising@sandler.com. This could be your last career stop.